Welcome back. You're watching Dukascopy TV and I'm Darren McDermott. Now today we're going to take a look at business tourism, as it is expected to be the hottest growth market for travel industry providers in the years ahead. I have Gregory Linn in the studio. Welcome today.
Thanks for having me back.
So Gregory, looking at business tourism, now what countries are the most popular for business tourism at the moment?
Right. Well, unsurprisingly, I mean, what is leading the pack is still the U.S. No matter what people think about Asia, which is actually really a hot second, with China leading the pack. Actually, with about close to the breakdown is actually pretty interesting because it's about 250. The total industry of business travel is a $1.1 trillion industry, and from that there's three main blocks that you can identify. One is the U.S., so about 260 billion. One is Western Europe with 260 billion as well, almost. And then there's China and Japan by themselves comprise also 260 billion. And with China almost at 200 billion, which is amazing compared to business travel 10 years ago in China.
And just looking at the US, what cities? Are we looking at New York? Where would be the best and most popular areas within the US?
The main cities are still the main cities people think about, which is New York, San Francisco, on both coasts. But then there is many more cities on the East Coast that are coming up as big tourist destinations. I mean, big business travel destinations, and there's more and more infrastructure being built as well to cover that demand. And just maybe a breakdown on the most popular cities. London is still leading the way on a global scale. But then there's Shanghai, Singapore, and Beijing, which are following quite closely behind. And Toronto, surprisingly, is still number 5 or 6. And if you take the main cities in Europe that are visited for business travel, it's still, like I said, London. Paris is around 7th or 8th position, and then only Stockholm and Berlin are in the first 20. Otherwise, they're all mostly countries in Asia and some cities in Asia and some in the U.S.
Now, these cities will be quite expensive. But are companies sending people over because there's big events happening?
Yes, exactly. There is more and more. I mean, the event industry is actually on an upward trend. You can see the business event industry is at an all-time high for the last 4 or 5 years. So it is gaining momentum, and hopefully we will see this momentum stay.
Gregory, we looked at the most obvious places, but where are the other places, the alternative destinations? And are developing and transition countries making the most out of business tourists, or are they losing out on opportunities?
Actually, interestingly, the BRIC countries, I mentioned China before, the other BRIC countries are Brazil, India, and Russia are actually on an upward trend as well, and are developing at a faster rate than developed countries. But then there is the risk of Brazil seeing a downtrend after the next 2 years, because the next 2 years there is a huge build-up towards the World Cup, then the Olympics, so there's lots of infrastructure being built. But then after that, that infrastructure will be probably over capacity for both leisure and business tourism.
Mentioning Olympics, now Russia was criticized hugely for its lack of facilities, especially when journalists from the US, I would say definitely a lot of US journalists, completely criticized the accommodations that they were staying in. What were your views on this?
I mean, I think it's, again, overrated, because it's true, the Olympics, when you look back at the Barcelona Olympics, nobody criticized what was going to be used, what the facilities were going to be used for afterwards. It just had to be successful. And now more and more there is sustainability issues coming in and saying what are the buildings going to be used for, and having everything perfect before. But again, now that you see the state of what the facilities are used for today, I mean, of course it would have been ideal to make the facilities perfect before everyone arrived, but there was timing issues, finance issues, everything. I think globally the Olympics were a success, the last ones in Russia. It's just the fact that the infrastructure was not up to notch compared to Western standards.
Now, Gregory, what opportunities do you think exist, and can entrepreneurs bring this industry to a new level?
Actually, interestingly, there's more and more of a fine line between entrepreneurs and startups working on projects in the travel industry that are destined for leisure travel and or for business travel. Because, I mean, lots of the applications that are coming out or websites that are coming out are on loyalty programs, but also on planning what person's needs are before they come. So really providing this up to their standards ahead of time. And there's so much out there. I mean, watch this space because there's lots and lots of interesting things. And I'll be glad to come back and talk about some of the things that are really interesting, but I cannot talk about right now, that are coming out very soon. So.
All right, lots of secrets. Well, we look forward to actually hearing about it in more detail when you come back to the studio. Thank you very much, Gregory.
Thank you.
Well, viewers, that's it for right now. But as Gregory said, he will be back to tell us all about his new projects. So make sure you tune back then. But in the meantime, have a look at all our interviews on the website. Goodbye for now.